Okay, so I was digging through my old stuff, really old stuff, and I found a bunch of these British comics. The Beano, which I believe is actually Scottish, and Menace the Menace. Now, okay, this is 1983, a British comic. Menace the Menace. That's not the Menace the Menace that we know in North America. This is a similar but different character who coincidentally made his comic book debut in the Beano, I believe, the very same day as Menace the Menace in America. 12th, 1951. Menace the Menace UK and Menace the Menace USA both came out in comic strips that day. So the creators had their own independent ideas, and they weren't meant for competing markets anyway, so let's just agree that Dennis rhymes with menace. I don't think it's more than a coincidence that, or I don't think it's anything more than a coincidence that they just happen to use the same name. But it is a real coincidence that it happened on the same day. That's weird. Conspiracy. This is Scottish Menace the Menace. This is, he's a little bit more of a badass, actually. He's always getting in trouble. He's always doing something dumb. Okay, Menace the Menace. This is his dog, Nasher, by the way. It doesn't really look like a dog. Just a weird little creature. Anyway, Dennis is making like fizzy soda or something like that, and it gets all over the place. Whoops! See the dog jump out and roof. Nash. Like she scolds him for being a dumbass. But then she's like, "Oh dear, I'm going to do some laundry. Do you want some laundry done?" And he's like, "Okay," and throw the dog's blanket in there. And then it shrinks in the wash later. One wash later. And the dog's like, "Oh my god!" Like Dennis is walking out and about in the neighborhood, I guess, and he runs into Walter the Softy. I guess he's like a wimp or whatever. He's like, "Hey, give me that. That's cool." His model airplane, and then he puts it together, and then he wrecks it, and there's no consequence. It's just oops. So it's like he just bullied this kid and just stole his toy plane and messes with it and just breaks it. He also manages to hit his dog on the head too. Later that day, Dad says, "Go to the store and get some dog food. I'll give you the instructions." And the dog chews up the instructions and runs out the door. And then he chases his dog, and the dog leads him exactly to the store. I was like, okay. Wasn't anything particularly funny about that. Maybe because I'm not a British kid in 1983. Yeah, anyway, Beano's got a whole bunch of different comics in here. The Beano magazine has been around since 1938. Anyway, yeah, Beano is just one of the magazines I've got here. Yeah, been around since 1938. This one, The Dandy, this issue is also 1983. All of these are from 1983. The Dandy magazine, comic magazine, has been around since 1937. Really only about 3 months earlier, but yeah. Ooh, this one's got a nasty stain on it. Hey man, I've had these since I was 12 years old. Actually, I guess I should explain that. How I came into possession of British comics. Yeah, a friend of mine has family in Scotland, went to visit them in 1983, and brought me back this handful of comics. And I was like, wow, that's cool, British comics from the other side of the world, and I can read them, and I mean, they're not in a different language or anything like that, but they kind of are in some cases. I mean, you know what I mean. Like the slang is different and stuff. And Yeah, this one has different comics in it, like different comic stars. This is Corky the Cat, but the star of Dandy magazine is Desperate Dan. I don't know if he's like supposed to be like Paul Bunyan or something, but he's British, so I mean, doesn't have blue ox or anything like that. But he's like a long-running comic star. Then there's the Beezer, which I guess was a knockoff or whatever. This one started in the 50s, I think. I don't know why, but the paper on this, I guess, is a different type of paper as the other type. Like, these ones are getting old and ratty, and they're getting brown. This one's still pretty good shape. Like, yeah, now, I don't know if I did it from the start when I first got these in 1983, but I had them stored in these plastic bags, like magazine bags. But the problem is I can't close the bag over top of them, so air's still getting in there. I mean, they're pressed flat and everything, and this one, I guess, well, it's not immune to the ravages of time. It's still, like, the pages are pretty white compared to the Beano. Yeah, the pricing is kind of not funny on here, but you know, it's weird that you know, my friend was in Scotland for like 2 weeks, and he picked up a bunch of these, and I guess you know, he has a bunch of brought back a bunch for himself as well. But yeah, he brought me back a bunch of these. Now that's 10p is the price on this. 10p. I looked it up. In today's exchange rate would be, I think, 17 cents, 17 and a half cents, something like that. And you know, it's only like a 12-page booklet. No, 20. It's 20 pages of comics. There's very few ads. There's, you know, as I say that, I flip open to an ad here. Yeah, there's not a lot of ads though, other than like, hey, let's sell more of these comics. This one's like actually for a fan club for Dennis the Menace. Anyway, 17 cents. And then this is July 23rd, 1983. Then this one is August 13th, 1983. And this one is 12p. It's like 20 cents. This is all UK to Canadian, but in 2020 terms. Back then, I guess, you know, even like 17 cents, actually, 17 cents would have gotten you almost a quarter of a American comic book. I guess this is like a snapshot of the rising prices of British comics. There's 10p, 12p. Also, the Dandy did the same thing, 10p, 12p. P is for pence, by the way. Here's another 12p Dandy, so that's 20 cents Canadian. This one is 16 cents, or 16 pence. 16p. So this would have been, I think that works out to be like 27 cents, something like that. Yeah, so, you know, the UK wasn't immune to drastically increased comic prices. I mean, we're talking a, you know, matter of cents here, but again, this is 1983 when, like, you know, kids especially in Canada, we were getting hammered for comic prices. Like, as I said, these are different types of comics. They're not the glossy cover, continuing stories, all one character. In Canada, if I wanted to buy like a Spider-Man comic, at the time I would have paid at least 75 cents, maybe $1. So for that, I mean, I could have gotten probably, you know, most of this stack if I, you know, lived in the UK. And thought that the Beezer and the Dandy were somehow cooler than Spider-Man. I've owned these for 37 years. I just hung on to them because, yeah, you know, nostalgia. I remember that summer was the Return of the Jedi was in theaters. Now here's actually a little comic strip that takes a little bit of that and goofs around with it. And there's this guy that, Corky the Cat goes to see Return of the Jedi. And they use the actual name right there. I must see this film. And then this guy comes in, he's a bully or whatever, and he's dressed like, or he thinks he's dressed like Darth Vader, and he, whacks him, and he's like, I'm a bad kid, and I'm not gonna blah. And then, so then Corky gets him back, and with a boxing glove, punches him in the eye, and he's all, Here he comes again, kids. Return of the Black Eye. Get it? Return of the Jedi. Return of the Black Eye. Yeah, it's not that funny. I mean, these comics aren't really that funny, but come on, they're made for little kids, right? But there's a curious thing about these comics, too, is that most of the protagonists are like badasses, troublemakers. They're like miscreants, right? And they're always getting in trouble, and they're always doing mischief and messing around, and because it's funny, I guess. But they also usually whoever's being an idiot gets schooled in the end, but not always, because we saw in the Dennis the Menace, really nothing happened to him. It was this one. But we saw in this one, Dennis the Menace, there really wasn't any consequence to any of his actions. He didn't get in trouble. Well, other than his mom saying, "You should have followed the instructions, you silly boy." Yeah, way to come down on your kid for destroying your carpet. We got the Dandy with Desperate Dan, the Beano with Dennis the Menace, and the Beezer with Ginger. The kid with red hair. Back in the day, these magazines used to have actual like text stories that would take a full page or whatever, and you would just read the adventures of Plug. What the hell? Like, look at that guy. Like, that is not a human. But he's Plug. I guess he's Plug Ugly or whatever. And or Fugly or whatever. And look at, he goes in and breaks mirrors because he's so damn ugly. Man, that guy's ugly. And he pulls a bag. He has a bag on his head, but he can't see anything. And then he pulls it off, scares the shit out of some old lady. Then he scares a lion because he's so ugly. And it's like, here you go, buddy. Here's a reward for capturing that lion, or helping us capture the lion. And he says, "Ku-ta." What the fuck does that mean? And we got the Munchers. The Munchers, I think, are what, like rabbits or something? Let's see. They're hillbilly rabbits, and they're, well, not an American hillbilly. They're rabbits, and they steal carrots and produce from this farmer's farm, and they're always using clever ways to, distract him and steal his shit. We got Smithy. I don't know what's up with Smithy. I don't know what his deal is, but he's not getting into trouble for anything in the end, so I guess he's a good guy. There's the Banana Bunch. What are they? The Banana Bunch. Just a bunch of kids. And they get into trouble. Hey everybody, let's laugh at the fat kid. Yeah, okay. We got the Bad Lads. The Bad Lads are convicts, and I guess they're always trying to escape. And they always end up, like, still in custody at the end. So they got all these wacky schemes, and they outwit the guards and things like that. And yeah, it's dumb. You got Scrapper. I don't care. Pop, Dick, and Harry. Okay. Just leave that there. Then you got Little Mo. Little Mo looks like a mischievous little girl. Little Mo, what's she gonna do? I don't know, but she ends up getting away with whatever she did, and her dad's like knocked out on the ground there, and she's sleeping in his hammock. What a little shit. Anyway, yeah, these comics are weird because there's like everybody in them, all the main characters are like, they're like trying to steal stuff, or they're, bullying people, or they have to fight bullies, or like, I mean, it's supposed to all be comedy, right? But I don't know. But like I said, the bad guy or the guy that's being a jerk always gets it in the end, right? And the good guy, Corky the cat, of course, jabs him with a forklift mounted on the front of an election truck. What? Okay. Yeah, let's wrap this up. Well, I must admit, back in the day, these were quite fascinating for me. They've kind of lost their appeal to me right now. Just going through them, they're kind of dumb. But, yeah, back in the day, I was like, dude, well, I didn't say dude back in the day. Nobody said dude back in 1983, except for Jeff Spicoli. Well, thanks for bringing these comics back from the other side of the world, man. Like, that's so cool. Really what it is a snapshot of, like, British culture. Kids culture. What kind of things did the British kids laugh at back in the day, and how different was it from the stuff that we get here in North America? Anyway, really glad I found these. And I don't think I'm going to be selling these ones anytime soon. But if I ever do, you can bet you're going to pay more than 12p, brother.